Hi, Tina Peters here.
See, today they go back to you if you're investigating.
Yeah.
That would have like.
Hi, it's Joe Hoft here on this Tuesday, April 1st. No April Fool's Day. I am here and happy to be here on The Truth Matters for Tina Peters. God bless Tina. Remember in your prayers. Remember her all the time. I just watched that intro get choked up almost. She's a beautiful woman. Just really a gorgeous woman, and see what's being done to her is just absolutely appalling. It's just so disgusting. I love that clip in there too about Trump meeting Tina. I'm so glad that she was able to meet President Trump, and he says it right there. You're being targeted because because you're going after voter fraud, and it is so broken. It is so broken, and it's being reiterated over and over now. And it just, I got to tell you, these past few days, watching Elon on Sunday night uncover this, he's saying basically with these experts, smart guys with Doge, they're smart. I won't argue that at all. But some of the stuff they're uncovering, we've uncovered before. For example, the fact that these illegals were given Social Security numbers, we've reported that. And it's unfortunate that it didn't hit a larger audience, but we reported that, and I'm really grateful that Elon's getting the word out because he's absolutely right, and we can validate it. We reported on some of this a couple years ago, even about how these illegals are getting Social Security numbers. It's outrageous. They're not citizens, and that is how they manipulate this voting process, and they know it because the elections and the election process are, and the HAVA Act even assumes from the early 2000s that you have to be a U.S. citizen to get a Social Security number. But again, as always, the communist, fascist Democrats will do all they can to destroy this country. And that means they've got to win the elections, which means they've got to steal them because nobody's voting for communism in this country other than a few radicals that were in Obama's White House or now leading corrupt NGOs for the Obama regime on behalf of George Soros. Those are the only idiots that are going for communism, and maybe the few that they can talk into it, idiots. And I guess some of these intelligent kids at these Ivy League schools that think that that's so cool. It's outrageous. Then we find the guy that's pushing this pro Hamas BS at Columbia. He's a stooge for the UK. He's a deep stater from the UK pushing the stuff in the US. So wake up, folks, and thankfully you're woke up. You're here, and that's why you're like, oh yeah, we know that. And I was talking to somebody before the show today, and she said, same as me. And in election night 2020, she stopped watching Fox News. Me too. I can't stand Brett Baer. Even when he had this great interview last week with Elon Musk, there was still this tinge of nastiness. He's a bitter, angry man, and I just can't stand that guy. Elon Musk has done so great, but Brett, he's just too much with those rhinos and with the Uniparty to admit any of that. He just sits back and you can see the steam boiling from the guy because he can't stand that this brilliant man is helping America save itself and become great again. And boy, is Elon doing it. And that's what he did on Sunday night. He comes out and says, oh, look, all these people, we found 2.7 million citizen or not citizens, people were given Social Security numbers, illegals that are not citizens. And that is up from like 270,000 the year after Biden took over. So this is a planned operation to destroy America. Don't forget it. Know it that these people are as evil and disgusting as the Nazis in World War II. They're doing the same tricks. They take over the media. They hurt those that are reporting the truth, like myself. You keep reporting the truth, you're going to get attacked. Owen Schroyer at InfoWars, I had him on my show a week ago. He's getting swatted in the middle of the night. Somebody's calling in saying he tried to kill somebody or killed somebody in his house. And they bring him out in his pajamas and crawling out of his house early in the one morning because some nasty people swatted him. This is the nasty stuff that these guys will do. They'll continue to hit you with lawfare. They'll just be consistently going after you. And it proves they're evil and that we're on the side is right. And integrity is everything. Integrity is everything. Don't you ever forget it. We are on the side that's right, and we're uncovering this stuff. And thank God we got Elon on our team to help point some of this out. We're going to talk about some of that. We're going to talk about Wisconsin today on The Truth Matters. But first, I want to bring up I'll be in St. Louis this weekend, out in actually St. Charles County, an event sponsored by United Sovereign Americans. I'll be a keynote speaker alongside and Vandersteel, and should be a great time. If you can make it, get there. There's tickets. You can buy one-day passes. Saturday should be a great time. That's when I'll be giving a talk at noon during the lunch hour. So see if you can do it. It should be a great time. It's in St. Louis. If you're in the area, stop on by. There's both lunch and dinner that are provided on Saturday. Breakfast as well, I understand, as well as breakfast and lunch on Sunday. So it's it's going to be an informative weekend. It's going to be really powerful. Marley Hornick and Harry Hari will be there as well. So hopefully you can make that. Hope to see you there. I'll be there. I've already sent a few books there that I can sign and sell. So if you can make it, stop on by and say hi. It'd be great to see you. As far as the election in Wisconsin goes, it's a big day today. A lot of people talking about it. I'm very concerned about it because our election system is absolutely broken. I've written about this in 3 books that, again, I'll be selling this weekend in St. Louis called The Steal. And the reason they were called The Steal is because the election process is not certifiable. It's just not. And so in Wisconsin today, we've got to ask who's watching these ballots right now. There's 500,000 absentee ballots that have been turned in to date. And for this election, a lot of corruption in those absentee ballots, as you know, across the board, not just in Wisconsin, across the country. They are not safe. They are not secure. They are not certifiable. We'll just leave it at that. Because to be certifiable, you'd really have to follow every single ballot through its entire process, its entire delivery system. And we can't do that. And that's why you don't do it. And that's why countries like Italy don't do that. And anyways, we found out in the 2024 election just a few months ago that there's a big black curtain that they have in Milwaukee, the center of corruption in Wisconsin election fraud. And from 2020, we saw the big F curve there for 140,000 ballots. Joe Biden dropped miraculously. And they got away with it. I remember when we first saw it, we were, well, they're going to fix this. This is obvious. Nope, they got away with it. They got away with it. These monsters stole the state of Wisconsin from President Trump and the American people. They came up and made this huge lie that Joe Biden got 81 million ballots because it's the only way he could beat Trump. And it was a huge lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. It's such an anomaly. It's so grotesque. These people, this is what they do. The communist fascists shove this stuff right in your face and say, eat this. And that's what we had in 2020. It was disgusting. And then they went after President Trump. Now in 2024, even in Wisconsin and Milwaukee, I guess on election night, talking to some people that were there, Trump won. Most people walked away. And what they did is they shoved all these absentee ballots behind the black curtain there. And you just saw a picture of it. And they ended up wouldn't let observers back there. Well, immediately then to me, that's okay. Well, we can't count one of those votes. We cannot count a single vote. If there's not transparency, me as a corporate auditor, I'm not going to count it. I never would have. That's the essence of my books. These elections are not certifiable. 2024 wasn't certifiable, certainly not for the House and Senate races. And President Trump just overwhelmed them at his level, but they still did. The lower numbers are totally corrupted. There's no way anybody with their right mind, a professional auditor like myself, would ever certify these results. And now we're going to go through with the process again over this key Senate race in I should say Milwaukee, but in Wisconsin. And we'll see what happens by the end of the day. 500,000, 500,000 ballots already turned in that race that are absentee ballots. And who's been guarding them? Ask yourself. It's appalling what's going on. We've got to become much more diligent. We cannot accept this. We've got to demand simple and fair elections. We're going to talk about some of that too. Anyways, I also wanted to bring up Elon. He went back there this Sunday night and came up with all sorts of great information. Here's what he says about what's happening to him, the threats that he's getting on a daily basis since standing up for Doge and cleaning up this massive, massive $1 trillion of corruption in the US that's being stolen. Probably we need to start asking how much of that trillion went to China. It's a good question, anyways. Listen to Elon here. Listen to what he's going through.
Just to put this into perspective, that's how important I think it is. I had 17,000 death threats. Okay, when I said I was going to go talk in Wisconsin, I got 17,000 death threats, not a few, 17,000 about going to talk in Wisconsin, in Green Bay. I still went. So, yeah, please do this.
He still went. He still went. And God bless Elon Musk. And I tell you what, I didn't see this till today, but at that event on Sunday night, they held a prayer. They did a prayer for Elon Musk. I didn't know that. It was kind of hidden yesterday. I saw one guy say, I pray for my wife and I pray for you every day, but I hadn't seen this. So here's a prayer for Elon Musk and all the people in America that are trying to fight and save for this great country, including Tina Peters. Watch this.
To ask you if it would be okay. I brought my dad with me. He's a pastor, and
Hello.
I just thought if it's okay with you, I would love for him to say a prayer for you as well, for your protection.
Sure. Thank you.
Elon, well, thank you so much for everything you've done for our country. We do love you very much.
Thank you.
And as a pastor, but just as a person, right? And even if I wasn't a Christian, and I know not everyone here is a Christian, but I think there's quite a few of you here and who are. Either way, we love all people. That's not the issue. The issue is fairness, what you're talking about. The issue being just, and the justice being a weapon instead of lawfare, instead of actually just, and all this corruption you're talking about. And that's a bad spirit, if you want to say it that way, putting it nicely. It's something evil that has come against our country, our morals, our families, etc. And then you and the president and others getting attacked with this outrage and this hate. So if you would, allow me to pray.
Thank you.
If you'd all who want to, please join me, bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are thankful for our country. We are thankful that God does bless America, and that God is the source of all goodness, love, and provision, and that you, Lord God, have provided a great nation with a great history. And although we've gone through many rough times, you're still very present and active with us. Thank you for protecting President Trump from that fatal attack. And we ask that you envelop and protect all of those who are fighting for justice, for freedom, for order, for dignity, and to reward people according to merit, and especially put your hedge of protection around Elon Musk, around his children, around his whole entire family, and all of his team members, that all would do good and just by our country, and freedom truly and justice would reign once again. We ask this in the name of the blessed Savior, Jesus Christ, who we remember during this time of year, who suffered and died for our sins. May you wash away all that is wrong with our country and start with us. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Wow, that was fantastic. I didn't know that that prayer was made the other night, and thank God. I mean, this is so cool that we are all, as a country, getting together and praying for each other, praying for this country. And I don't know how many of these events I've been through, too, that there's prayer, and it's an important part of everything. And so it's really awesome that they did that for Elon the other night. I don't know. I'm going to change subject here just briefly. We had a guest on my show, the Joe Hoft Show, late last week. Her name's Guia Mariani, a real successful businesswoman in Italy. If you know fashion, you've heard of her. One of the biggest, maybe in the world. Yeah, I won't say too much about her, but she is just really successful in her profession in fashion and has loved it, has done great work. Well, she started helping me out a few years back. She heard me on a show in Italy and asked if she could be the translator for that show going forward. And that's how I met her. And then she helped me translate my 3 books on the steel into Italian. You can now buy those in Italian thanks to her. And she's just been a huge supporter. She loves what we're doing. General Flynn has been on our show before too, and I mentioned over the weekend that I sent this video to her that I'm going to show you here in a second to General Flynn. He says, "Yeah, I've been on her show," and he remembers her. Yeah, she translated for him on a show at least one time in Italy as well. Anyways, she shared with us on Friday basically how the election process goes in Italy. And this, I think, is really, really important because we're being fooled and told that we can do absentee ballots and we can do machines and we can do all this BS that we never did before. It's all corrupt. It's impossible to certify. I base that on my opinion as a professional auditor who's done audits around the world. It's impossible. And we used to do it very simply across the country, and we would have results on election night. Well, it's the same process that's still going on in Italy. And so she explains it here in the short 2-minute clip, and I want to share this with you. So here's Goya Mariani discussing Italian elections for your information right now.
Not a long line like I see in America, rarely. And when you go there, inside of the classroom, there is the president of the polling station. Usually there's like a desk. Everybody can see. There are representatives of the parties. There is the president, the secretary, and the 2 girls, of each party, of each usually opposing parties, that take your ID. You go, there is a big ledger. There is my name on the ledger because the number of this card is on this ledger. They see that it matches my ID. I give them my ID. They write the time that I'm there. It's by pen. It's all done by pen and not computer. They write it's, 3:00 in the afternoon. I am there. They write my name. They make me sign. They keep my ID. And they give me a ballot, which is on a special paper printed by our government, which is watermarked, like a banknotes. And I go to behind the booth with a little curtain. I mark what I want to mark, usually just an X. We don't have, you can also add the name of if you have a favorite candidate, but you just write an X on the party that you want. You fold your ballot back. You go out in the center of the classroom again, where there is a cardboard box. And in front of everybody, you insert the ballot in the box in front of everybody. Even the people that are maybe in line can see, okay? Once it's done, I go back to get my ID again. They give me back my electoral card. They give me back my ID. They stamp the ID, like I showed you, my electoral card. And I am done. I leave.
Pretty simple in Italy. They have a card that she brings in. She shares that. It's like a passport, and you drop that off with your ID. You go vote. You come back. They stamp your book so it shows that you voted. It's something that many people are proud of. And then you grab your ID and you leave. It's done in one day. They have the results counted because the precincts are relatively small. This is how we used to do it across the country. This isn't rocket science. They do 31 million people in an evening in Italy, and that's twice as many as people voted in California this last election. 31 million, and they're done like that, and they don't have these crazy issues that we have with elections lasting for 2 months and machines that are questionable at best, that aren't certifiable, the whole process that isn't certifiable. No, in Italy, it's very simple. And that's what we need to get back to. That's my opinion. I just think let's keep it simple and secure and stop messing around with this absolute garbage. And we'll see tonight in Wisconsin what happens in this big race there. I have some real concerns. You got 500,000 absentee ballots already that have been turned in. Where'd they come from? Do we really know? I don't think so. Again, as an auditor, I don't certify any of this stuff. I wouldn't, there's no way I would. I'd be angry to have this stuff thrown at me. As a professional in finance as well, I'd be like, this is your process? Oh, been really pissed. Anyways, lots to talk about. We've got our good friend Matt Meck joining us right after this, but let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with Matt. But before we do, I want to mention one thing. It's about the Oxford group, and this group is dealing with what's called mailbox money from oil royalties. And instead of investing in oil stocks, people invest in these royalties instead. I'm talking about a passive residual income that comes month after month, starting with as little as $25 investment. Visit hoftoilboom.com to learn more about this and tap into these monthly royalty checks. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be connected. All you need is a regular brokerage account. Again, check into hoftoilboom.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Matt right after this.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act.
As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage.
We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF Guns. What is DCF Guns, you ask? We're the best damn gun store and range in the universe. Do we have guns? We have all the guns. We got small guns. We got big guns. We even have beastly guns. We offer all types of training, and we have 5 ranges across our 3 locations. I'm a good shot. And of course, we have all types of ammo. We even have flamethrowers. Woo! We offer incredible membership opportunities, and members save even more on guns, ammo, and accessories. Military, both active and retired, and first responders get up to 40% off memberships. Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. It's hot.
Welcome back to the Truth Matters Tina Peters Show. This is Joe Hoft filling in for Tina today. It's an honor and privilege to be here. This great American who's sitting in prison right now, jail. Please pray for her. She needs all our prayers. Lift her up, protect her, grant her some sort of serenity in this predicament that she's in. And in Jesus' name, please. So anyways, I mentioned before the break, we've got a great guest here, a good friend from Las Vegas, Matt Meck. Matt, welcome to the Tina Peters Show. I am good. Little afternoon for me out here on the East Coast, but doing good. But seeing how much we need to continue to fight. There's so much going on.
I think as Bannon indicated when he spoke at the GOP meeting there in Vegas. Where was he? Colorado Springs, couple days ago. Got to fight Smash Mouth, and I think if I'm not mistaken, today being Tuesday, is the day that Tina is being moved from the county jail to the state prison system in Colorado.
It's outrageous what's happened to that girl. It's just it's beyond, it's beyond belief. I was thinking about this the other day, and I mentioned this on my show. When Trump stood up and said, "Fight, fight, fight," we all saw it. We were all like, I didn't know if he was saying the F word, F bombs, and it shocked me when it really hit what he was saying. I thought he said it, but it took my consciousness some time to let it soak. And I was thinking those three, that phrase, "fight, fight, fight," it's going down in history as one of the most significant phrases ever. I'm sitting here thinking, the Romans, we came, we saw, we conquered. Sayings like that, "fight, fight, fight," will be remembered forever. We're living through a historical time, and it's important for us to fight.
I think it is, Joe. And my personal thoughts was when he realized what just happened to him. Hey, they could take me out, him, and he, I think, was imparting to us, it doesn't matter. You fight, 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 fight. Do not quit. Never quit. I mean, your mutual friend Mark Cook has said this. You've heard Bannon say this. The only way, Joe Altman said it, the only way we lose is if we quit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So real significant times that we're in right now. And, during the break, you mentioned this news today coming out of Georgia. Why don't you fill us in on what you know about that? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, a good friend, Holly Kessler, down in the Savannah area, she sent it out, and it's Judge Totenberg there, the Curling v. Assenberger case, which she's had this case for 14 months, the judge. And this is the case, you remember, where Professor Halderman, who's no MAGA person at all, but is a pretty decent computer gentleman, scientist, he showed in the courtroom, I think it was within 5 or 10 seconds, he took a pen from the defense attorney, took it, put the machine into some mode, and was able to flip votes, right? Flip them easily, just show it in front of the judge. And Totenberg took 14 months to render an opinion that I'm dismissing it. I tell you, Joe, it doesn't smell right. There's something. And by the way, this is just the week. Garland, good friend Garland Favorito, they're fighting hard with the Georgia legislature this week. That's looking to get some good legislation out of the Georgia legislature. By the way, Garland and his folks referenced Tina Peters and what she was able to do in Colorado, and told the legislature, if you do what our Secretary of State wants to do, you will lose all your data. And they invoke the heroism of Tina, that do not do this. We learn only because of her what happens if you do this stuff. But no surprise, no coincidence, I think, that this same week of election integrity legislation coming out, she drops this thing where I'm just dismissing it for basically no standing.
Yeah. But I've studied a lot of this Judge Totenberg. She's the sister to another Totenberg who used to be on NPR or PBS, one of these channels. I think they're both, their father was in World War II, Germany. I question a lot of these people that got out of Germany and stuff, whether they're even Nazis or not, based on their actions since. Really question it. But she was an Obama judge. She took over this case. Actually, my understanding was like 8 years ago, this case was initiated. And then what happened was came along the 2020 election. She agreed with some issues. And then, at least I think it was in this case, but there was issues. The solution by Raffensperger was to bring in these Dominion machines, which were just as bad and just as broke. And then Halderman came in right after the election, did that audit. And then she buried that for a couple of years, this Halderman report. This is before this recent, in time where he goes in front of the court and shows how he can just use a pen and hack into the system, ballpoint pen. But that, for me, there's a lot of arguments and a lot of concerns about outing Dominion after the 2020 election. Dominion, I found out from Emma Robinson, had a legal firm come in and mail letters to 150 people and say, you give us save all your documents, or because we're coming to sue you. I was one of those people. And it scared the hell out of me because Sidney Powell just got busted for a $1 billion lawsuit from Dominion. And I'm like, I'm scared. I got a family, and I'm like, what's going to happen to me? I could tell you a whole story about what happened at that time, but anyway, so I wanted to measure my response in my books about the election, but I knew I had to write about the election and in particular the machines. And so what I did was, before she released this report from Haldeman that she's held on to for 2 years, the CISA came out, CISA, a government entity, and said, well, here's what Haldeman's report says. It says that the machine, in this case, it was the Dominion machines, they can be hacked easily. A hacker can flip an election, and they're just not secure. So that's all I needed to use in my book on the election process when I talk about the systems, is a report from our U.S. government entity that says these things aren't secure, and you can flip an election with these machines. And so nothing else was needed. Haldeman's report eventually came out, and that's what it said. But she buried that for a couple years. Then she has him come in, like you say, and now 2 years later, she's going to say, "Oh, you don't have standing." You can't make this stuff up.
We were talking about a little bit before the break. To me, it's cultural Marxism, and I referenced, we had a event, was back in, I think, 18 June of 2022. We were in the Cleveland area, and great gentleman Bill Lind, who with Paul Reich wrote The New Conservatism, wrote a great book on the nom de voyage of Thomas Hobbes called Victoria, about fourth generation warfare, kind of one of the fathers of fourth generation warfare. Now we're, of course, in fifth generation warfare, but he and we had Mark Cook presenting there. We had Hava Loudon. We had Steve Hertzberg, who had done the full forensic audit of Cuyahoga County back in 2006. Right, the only one in my mind, I think you would, if you looked at it, you would agree as an auditor that was worth a crap, because it was done scientifically with best of best minds, best practices, and during that event, Bill Lind wrote, or he presented, he said, "This is not about R versus D. Wake up, people." He talked about the Frankfurt School, cultural Marxism, and what they're trying to do to destroy the fabric of the country. And he said, once they destroy your confidence in the election, be it you a Democrat or a Republican, two primary parties, your confidence in the election system plummets. Your participation plummets. You no longer, by definition, have a republic, and you atomize the country. You make it ripe for whatever someone might have with ill intentions. And I think we're seeing that play out now. I mean, you just saw Rachel Maddow yesterday on her show last night, how with the courts and the judges, this case we just talked about with Totenberg, they're coming after the pillars of Trump's support. That's you, that's me, that's Democrats and Republicans who said, I'm just tired of we the people getting screwed all the time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I saw another quote here recently that says, "Hey, look out. Because when these monsters take power, don't think that they're going to show you mercy. It's the opposite. They are ruthless. It's happened every single time in history. When the monsters take over, they don't care. They play this game now, but watch them take over and watch what they'll do. Getting thrown in the DC gulags, your best option. It's just,
as you said, look at the folks. We had some great folks presenting at our Savannah event in August of last year, and one of the ladies, her name escapes me at the moment, but she escaped Mao's Cultural Revolution. She got over to here, to the country. She's now Frank Gaffney introduced me to her. She's trying to tell America, wake up. This is exactly what happened to us. And if you don't wake up, you think just because you're a everyday Jane or John Q. Public, it's going to be a good citizen, nothing's going to happen to you. Eventually, they will come for you.
If they want it, they'll take it. And if that means your life, that's fine. There's just no, and you know what's ironic about this, Matt? We might sound, oh, these guys are histrionic. They're talking, oh, this is crazy. We're on Tina Peters' show because she's in prison and going to get moved from jail to prison today. I mean,
Yeah.
wake up. Anybody, wake your consciousness up. This is hell that's being unleashed, and we've got to stop it with everything we do.
She, to me, a heroine, and the intestinal fortitude she had. I mean, I know this whole process she has endured. People came to her, told her, just recant, say you were sorry, you were mistaken. It all goes away. But, as you know her, I know her. She's the kind of person that, no, there's right and there's wrong. And I just can't look the other way when I know something wrong has occurred. And so she stuck to her principles. And for sticking to her principles and speaking up about them, the judge penalized her for that.
He was rotten. Boy, that guy was rotten to the core. That judge
I hope to
should
God,
never
I
be
know
a judge.
somebody that I know that is part of our coalition. He was at the state government level. Now he's in the federal government level. And he told me, gosh, a couple weeks ago, it was, I think, just after Todd Blanche spoke at DOJ, and then Trump spoke, and Todd mentioned Tina in that little speech before Trump got out there. And this one person who's in the DOJ said that, yeah, the efforts regarding looking at Colorado, the elections, and looking at Tina Peters, as DOJ's interest has moved from the civil division to the criminal division. So I would say, Colorado, you might not be shaking now your leadership there, but I think you're going to be looked at with a proctoscope.
Well, let me ask you this, Matt. I'm a little fiery, maybe today, but maybe always. I don't know. But what's your opinion on Pam Bondi to date? I'll just give you a hint. I'm not happy. I thought we had enough names that could have been arrested already, just from what we know in the public realm. What do you think is going on?
Emotionally, I'm not happy. I want to see, as Steve Stern would say, action, 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 right? And I've watched some posts by Bongino and by Cash. So I don't know all what's going on there. So maybe for a little longer, I give him a benefit of the doubt. But the alacrity, the sense of urgency, at least from what we're concerned about, I don't see it where I'd like to see it in elections. Going after folks. So I guess emotionally, I'm disappointed. I guess cognitively, I'm trying to understand: is there something larger here? I do know, talking to some of the lawyers for Tina and others who not directly are involved with the White House task force on 2020, are telling me that like July, August timeframe, there's going to be some very interesting reports coming out and facts being laid out. And basically, the report from the White House task force circa July or August. Now, I don't know what's going to happen before then. I know somebody who briefed us back in the DC area in January when I talked about the first EO on the elections. This person said, hey, it's a starting point. It's a foundation. In the next 30 days, there's 2 or 3 more going to come on out. So I guess I don't know that I don't know what I don't know. So I'll give Trump and his team the benefit of the doubt, but certainly the frustration for folks who know Tina and know what she's done. And we're seeing like the judge's case in Georgia. You're frustrated seeing, us talking to Senator Mastriano about some of the maybe questionable things on that Senate election there, state Senate election in Lancaster County area. It just doesn't make sense.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And nothing, and I'm really glad Elon dropped some bombs on Sunday night about not just Doge, but about Social Security numbers and and how all these illegals getting social security numbers. In my understanding, the HAVA Act was built around, I believe, an assumption that in order to get a social security number, you have to be a citizen. Well, Biden's team has given them to millions of people, maybe 5 million just that they've identified, that are not U.S. citizens. So that kind of makes the election process change if your theory or thesis is that you're a citizen if you have a social security number. So this is the kind of stuff that they're doing that's just been blowing up everything. Yeah, anyways, I got a question.
Look, I think it was last night. Somebody posted it, but it was, I guess I don't know if he did it on an X basis, but Elon said 400,000 social security numbers basically were stolen and sold or something. And I posted on a group text with several folks, one of them, Laura Logan. And Laura Logan last night said, it is the IRS. So, and Elon said someone's going to be arrested today, right? He said it yesterday. So I don't know Laura's sources on this, but she, in that group text we're on, she said it's the IRS. So I'm presuming someone or some bodies, plural, at the IRS did this, and that's 400,000. And as you just connected the dots, you go to a social security number, you can easily get into that voter registration database. And as we've all talked about, you need to pad that voter registration database to do the chicanery downstream to match. If you put in fake ballots, manually, if you put them in digitally, you have to have a voter registration database or things to draw from to match it with those faux ballots or faux digital manipulation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so much going on. Do you know who's on this task force for the president, the election task force? Can you share?
I don't know. I don't know the details. At one point, I was told a particular person, I don't want to violate confidence, was going to lead it. Then somebody that I trust with my life, would literally trust with my life, who was in D.C. talking to some of these folks, said, no, that person is not leading it. It is on there, but is a part of this. But I've offered up some ideas like, hey, get maybe former secretaries of state. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. That's no longer a secretary of state. His brother is right now in that state. Maybe get a Mark Cook, a Sean Smith, Clay Farik. Get these folks on there who maybe understand the dynamics better and are not. I'm not castigating lawyers, but they're not just lawyers. They actually understand how this stuff works because Joe Altman's gotten into this too. You break it apart. You understand how it is a system. It's an ecosystem from registration to validation to tabulation and reporting.
Yeah, it's huge. Do you know one thing that has come to my attention? I don't have the picture here in front of us, but we uncovered, I started this group, Fate 2024 nonprofit, to look at the elections. I don't know if I'd mentioned that to you before, Matt, but one thing that we had some brilliant guys on this team. This one guy uncovered this report. It's by this NGO, and it showed this map of all these entities about the size of maybe your fingernail. And all across this page, maybe, I don't know, 100 little entities on this page. And this NGO was bragging about how all these groups worked together in the 2020 election. And they were praising themselves as the leftists always do for their theft, actually. And just like Norm Eisen did after the 2020 election as well, getting on Time Magazine and bragging about what they did. Anyways, it's massive. And they've got a section that's social media, other sections. I didn't see Dominion and some of these machines on the list, which is, I think they hit them. But the point that I'm trying to make is, when I wrote my books on the election, my first book was on setting the stage. Second book was on what actually happened and why I wouldn't have certified this election. Third book was on the cover-up, January 6th, and all the stuff that happened after the election that was a nightmare. But all of that together, I thought sometimes was it, I'm getting lengthy here. I'm sorry, Matt, but I thought sometimes that maybe I had too much there. Maybe that first book wasn't necessary, really, what happened before. But then I see this chart and it's huge. And this one guy on our team says, this looks like a fifth generation weapons system.
Bingo.
That's what it said. It's everything from start to finish. It's unbelievable. I'll send it to you after this, but what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Again, a friend who, one of the graybeards in the election integrity domain, Steve Hertzberg, mentioned he briefed at the Cleveland, Ohio event we did in June of 2022. He did the full forensic audit of Cuyahoga County in 2006. After Bush v. Gore, he started something called Vote Watch, which then became Election Science Institute. And you saw him on E.B. McNeil there. He was on Lou Dobbs, taking rigorous processes to looking at the election system. And he was he looked at it, and I think the biggest thing I remember coming out of that Cuyahoga County full forensic audit, Joe, was just using the machines. Just using the machines. He could find no bias to one candidate or the other, Bush or Kerry. But what they found, just using the machines, caused a 10% error rate. And he said, Matt, think of this. How many elections in your life have been won by less than 10 points? He goes, how the hell can you certify an election when the margin of error is greater than the margin of victory? You can't. You just cannot do it. So, but he said something. He presented actually at our first South Carolina event too, and he'd go back to the 1960s and 70s and see the slow, relentless move and manipulation of the American psyche into getting rid of paper and to go into something different, right? And he goes, think of Bush v. Gore. That wasn't about pregnant Chads and dimpled Chads and hanging Chads. That was to put in context of that paper bad, machines good. Paper bad, machines good. And it was the manipulation of our psyche to accept without question the machines as the fix-all be-all for our election system. And yet we find, you just talked about Italy. You look at Taiwan. You look at Argentina. You look at the Netherlands. You look at Germany. Paper, hand count it. Publicly, everybody looks. You don't move the ballots to another place to count them. Somebody wins, somebody loses. You might be upset, but at least you say, okay, at least the rules of the game were fair.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's like being a Christian and being saved. It's like, believe in Christ as our Savior. He died for us, and we're the righteousness of God because of Jesus's sacrifice. If you believe that, it's the going to a paper-backed system. We talked about hand count, paper ballots, one day, voter ID. It's so simple, it's hard. It's so easy, it's hard. And in Searcy County, Arkansas, Mark Cook had referenced this once I think we might have been on one of these shows. He said we had showing the hand count process. By the way, kudos to the Missouri Secretary of State. Good on you.
Yeah, that's
for what he's going to do with hand counting.
Yeah.
But what they did in Arkansas, it was for a primary election, primary ballots. It was done by paper. And young kids were there, high school, looking at this stuff. And they thought, how much they had. This is what you're all complaining about? To move, this is easy. What are you talking about? Because they hadn't been indoctrinated in this crazy, obfuscated, stupid-ass machine system that no one can understand. God, even the election officials don't really know what the hell they're doing.
No.
They're just operating something. But the young kids, like, this is simple. It's paper. What's so hard about this?
Yeah. No, and it's done around the world, like you said, in Italy, 31 million people in a night. They can figure it out.
It's going to hit somebody's pocketbook. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. And it's all about the theft. It's all about the steal. It's communist China taking over. It's the fascists, But the thing that grabs me about the systems, and I think Elon said this the other day. Maybe I tell you what, Apollo, why don't you play this a second? This is the last clip that I gave you. It's, the government can't pass audits. You got that ready? Maybe we can play that real quick. This is Elon the other night. or last week?
We're talking about elementary financial controls that are necessary for any company to function. So, like, if the federal government, if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does, then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be delisted. The officers would be arrested. The changes we're putting in place will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well.
Well, that's Elon with some Doge guys talking about the federal government and what a mess it is and how none of this stuff's certifiable and a company would go bankrupt. The same thing applies to our elections. They're broke. They're totally broken, just as bad. And the thing with the systems, they're so expensive to adequately audit those systems across the country. You'd have to spend millions in getting qualified auditors, IT auditors, to test all these systems, make sure they're accurate and secure. And they're not. The systems are developed not to be. So it's a total mess. It's a total sham. And it really, when I heard Elon say that about audits of this would be garbage, same thing applies to our elections. And that's my background. So
I agree. And I would say Colorado, Florida, wherever you have machines of you pick the brand, I dare say every county's machines, I don't think one will be in the same software configuration as the other. And if you have that, you have no configuration control whatsoever. It's pretty easy to configure control paper.
Yeah, there you go. And to count it. It's not a hard exercise. It's not a big deal. Get reasonable sized precincts. Smart people can figure that out in a day. It's not a big deal. Then you get the volunteers to do it. A lot of volunteers, a lot of people that want to do it, a lot of people in this country. And we could have a clean election. The left doesn't want it, though. They're going to fight. They're going to fight. And the rhinos.
They don't want it. And I would say, much like General Flynn talked about digital soldiers, hand count soldiers, right? That's what we need. Volunteer in your local communities. And I had mentioned before, whether go to a VFW, American Legion, Elks, Moose. I bet you got a lot of folks, especially elderly, who this kind of scares sometimes elderly people, too much computers. But I bet you for a cup of coffee and a donut for one day, they would do that. No problem. No problem would you have getting volunteers.
No problem. And that was the thing too, Gou, you mentioned in Italy, they count them in front of everybody. If you want to stay and watch, you can do it. It's transparent as can be. They open the box, put the ballots on the table, and start counting them. It's nothing's hidden, And that's.
I remember real quickly, Laura Logan, one of our, I think it was the Florida 1.0 forum we did. Besides Mark Cook was in there. She goes, besides Mark Cook, anyone out here in the audience know how to speak machine language, like ones and zeros? No. Then how the hell do you know what's going on in the machine? I thought that was great.
Yeah, great point. Absolutely. So, Matt, what's up next for you? And also, how can people reach out to you and support you in any way?
Well, two things immediately. We got Mark Cook is over in Hawaii from the 1st to the 15th. He's hitting Oahu right now. Then he'll hit the Big Island, then Maui, then Kauai, doing briefing the election ecosystem to the folks in Hawaii who have some serious questions about this. That's again, these first 2 weeks of April. And then again, hopefully you can host on 5 July at the Ahern Hotel here in Vegas. We're going to have an election ecosystem demonstration and a hand count, not just hand counting the tabulation, but show paper registration, paper validation instead of poll books, show a hand count process and how you would do that. And we'll have folks like Chuck Gray, Secretary of State of Wyoming, Pat McSweeney, Tina's lawyer, said he would be there. I'd love to get the Secretary of State of Missouri to show up there. And Brian Kennedy said he'd kick it off for us. And Bannon, I don't know if he'd be here in person, but Bannon is interested in being part of this. So I think and Joey Gilbert, I think you're going to see announced on a platform of hand counting, like we talked about, paper ballots, in person, same day, voter ID, count where cast, announcing he's running for Secretary of State of Nevada on that platform to unscrew the elections here in Nevada.
Well, that's fantastic, Matt. That's great stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about it later today, but that Ahern event sounds great. So we'll catch up on that. Way to go for all the work you've been doing for years now in this arena and with our military years prior to that. So thank you for everything, Matt. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting Tina.
And God bless
Thanks.
Tina. She is my hero.
Yeah, it's really, it's an honor to be here. I'm sure you feel the same. Well, I'm going to have to go. I got to run to the Joe Hoft show here in a couple minutes, but thanks, Matt, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, Joe. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Tina Peters here.
See, today they go back to you if you're investigating or thing.